This is an RNZ podcast.
Pretty much the last place you'd think you'd find paddy growing in. But here on this hill in Nelson, I'm about to see how some serious dedication and research can yield the first ever rice harvest, no matter how small, in South Island. This is Here Now, and I'm Kadambri Raghukumar, your producer and host.
So this just on the line, I used it to dry the rice in the sun for 2 weeks. So you kind of like hang it, like this, and then leave it in the sun. Obviously, you have to cover it with bird net because sparrows love them. We have a saying in Japan about one single grain of rice has 88 gods dwelling in it, and it's really precious, so you don't waste it. And once you start growing rice, you really realize how precious it is, so you won't waste the grain. And
It's a belief that's taken on a whole new meaning for Yuki Fukada since she started her experiments with growing rice paddy. 88 gods living in a grain of rice, and she's clearly not about to waste the efforts of her hard labour. Yuki's home on the hill is a certified passive house designed by her architect husband Nathan Edmonston, and it won a Homestar 10, the highest sustainable category you could get from the Green Building Council. As I walk in, the house is warm, and the living room there's a huge pile of dried rice straw in a corner. There are little carefully detailed traditional Japanese craft pieces scattered around. Yuki's been studying straw crafts from a Japanese book.
when you smell the rice straw, it instantly takes me back to sort of Japan. The traditional Japanese, tatami room have thick layers of straw, so it really smells like at home. And rice straw has been part of the culture for thousands of years. It was just as important as a grain. It's a zero-waste plant, and you could make house out of it, clothing, dairy materials, everything from horticulture. It was used as a mulch or ropes to carry, like a backpack, or even bag to transport rice was made out of rice straw. So it has culturally significant meaning, to me.
Yuki is an ecologist and is deeply concerned with the state of the world when it comes to climate change and its impact. Growing food, rice particularly, is an extension of her conscientiousness around the topic.
Rice is one of the most important grain in the world because it's a staple food for over half the population. And in New Zealand, we used to eat only 1 kilograms per person on average per year. But nowadays average is about 11 kilograms consumption per year. So it has grown a lot in popularity, and obviously the demographics changing. There's a lot more Asians living here, and popularity of curry and rice has grown, like sushi, for example. And but there's zero commercial production in New Zealand, so we are importing about $95 million worth of rice from overseas, which equates to about 85,000 tons, which is a lot of rice being imported. And there's emissions with the transport as well. We're importing from 4 main countries like Thailand, Australia, Vietnam, and India. But because these countries are close to equator, they've been hammered by climate change impact recently. And India particularly, is the most populous country in the world with 1.4 billion, but they are looking to add maybe 250 million people over the next 25 years. So they will need to meet the domestic demand more and more. So that's one of the reasons why I think we should be growing rice in New Zealand. In some parts of Asia, it has become too hot to successfully grow rice, and that's been an issue. And also the rising sea level, some rice field has become too much salinity in the water, and ironically, if for New Zealand it's becoming warmer, so it's becoming more and more suitable to grow crops like rice. I've shown that we can successfully grow rice in Nelson, and some people are trying out in Westport, and you might be able to grow more south than here. Yeah. We have to adapt to climate change, and as I've mentioned earlier, if the countries that we are importing rice from are getting hammered by climate change, we really need to start seriously thinking about our food security.
Oh, yeah. We're walking to where a few months ago she'd harvested some rice from a small patch on the hill behind her house. It's very, very slushy and slopey.
Section is not flat.
Clearly it's definitely not flat. I can vouch for that.
Yeah, and it's not really that suitable because we are close to the earthquake hazard, fault line. So our site is engineered to drain water rather than hold water. So for the little patch, we had to put plastic, sheet underneath, which is not ideal as not like a natural rice paddy. But in Nelson climate, because we have a cold nighttime temperature, it seems that having a water in the rice paddy seems to help the rice grow better because water acts like thermal mass. It keeps the rice warm overnight.
Okay.
And that seems to be very important, critical thing for pollination stage because rice needs constant warm temperature during that time. You have to start somewhere, right? And no one knew if anyone could grow rice successfully in South Island, including myself. So that was quite challenging. But luckily the rice grew, so we had a very successful harvest for the first year.
Last year, she harvested her first batch, and word got around very quickly. It was proof that she'd somehow come full circle from how it all started for her. It started as a little experiment in your backyard.
It did, yeah. So I grew up in a small village called Tokyo, and I didn't really like the big city. So I used to do woofing, winning work as an organic farm when I was a high school student, and I did plant rice and harvested rice, and rice was just part of the picture whenever I visited that place. And I met a guy called Toru Sakawa, and he traveled to New Zealand in 1994, and he did two things. He told me to I should come and study at Lincoln, which I did later, and then he also met Yoshimasa Sakurai, who is a retired professor who just moved to Kaiwaka in Northland.
Yoshimasa was an agricultural professor who lived in his ecologically sustainable property in Kaiwaka. He came to be known for his success in experiments of growing different varieties of rice throughout the 2000s.
While we were living in Hamilton in 2013 and 2014, we visited him twice, and he showed us the rice paddy, and he gave me some rice seeds, and I didn't know what to do at the time because I, just starting a small, family, and we had to move to Nelson, and I couldn't do anything with it. But I think he planted the, idea into my head firmly. So I asked him to send me some seeds, and which he kindly did. So I had a go at growing rice in our backyard, in pots, in buckets and stuff like that. And I successfully managed to grow rice. So then we moved into this place 3 years ago and created a rice paddy, just very tiny one, like 2 by 2 meters, and had a go at growing rice. And it became, successful harvest. So I thanked him and sent some pictures of rice, and the staff article came out about my rice. And that was on 29th of April 2024. And then on that very same day, Yoshi passed away, aged 86.
Yoshimasa in many ways really sowed the seeds of possibility for the growing of rice in New Zealand. And for Yuki, it was an invaluable connection.
He's kind of left me with amazing friendship as a gift, because I got to know Japanese people who is growing rice in Kaiwaka. Kanako Hayashi has been helping Yoshi grow rice for 60 years, and she now starting her own patch of rice in her backyard in Otamatea Eco Village in Kaiwaka. And Yuki Kamiya has been growing Yoshi's rice since 2020 in Earth Song eco-village in Auckland, and Lynette Lysart in northern Waikato. She's been growing Yoshi's rice. So I got to know those people after Yoshi passed away, and made amazing friendship. And so I'm really grateful for Yoshi for, leaving us with amazing friendship.
In her garage, she showed me a hand-operated thresher. She's just bought it with a grant she's received from the Nelson City Council.
And then you put the rice in there.
Yuki plans to run workshops around what her journey growing rice has taught her.
That must be a very satisfying sound.
Yes, yeah, it is. We made that whole real one, and we had to go like this last season.
She's been rationing out the straw, though, considering the small size of her first harvest. She's really trying to broaden the scope of her journey, which goes beyond just growing food into making connections and community.
I'm doing Tereo level 2, and I recently saw this flax ropes that's holding the stone together like a stone carrier, and that was exactly similar to what I found in this straw book. So it's just being able to use different plants, but having the same importance culturally. And I think I see there's a lot of similarities with Te Ao Maori, with Japanese worldview. We say minoru hodo kobe o tareru ina hokana, which means the more rice grain matures, the lower it bows its head. And so meaning as we get older and gain more wisdom, we become more humble, and then they have the same thing in kumara, kaorete kumara, e korero mo tona akereka. The kumara does not speak of its own sweetness. So I love it how the Japanese came up with the staple, which is rice, to teach the importance of humbleness, and how Maori uses their staple, which is the kumara, to have the same message. I find that language and worldview is very similar with Te Ao Maori. So I'm a Kiwi now, but I am sort of finding my roots through growing rice and learning how to use rice straw and teaching other people how to grow rice, and kind of like reconnecting with the things that I've lost. Yeah, so that's been an interesting journey.
Next summer, Yuki's experiment will resume, but this time she's going to try a dry patch. And if the 88 gods and ancestors are on her side, it wouldn't be surprising to see her harvest double.
Rice was originated from India, and so I'd love to thank all the Asian ancestors for carefully looking after the rice. And as it traveled through southern East Asia to northern Japan, we can use that variety to grow rice in New Zealand. So, yeah.
It's come a long way.
Yes, that's right, yeah. And it has involved thousands, millions of people's effort to get to where we are today.
Yuki Fukada talking to me from her house on the hill in Nelson. My name is Kadambri Raghukumar, and every week I bring you a story from all around New Zealand featuring people from all around the world who live here. You can follow Here Now on all your favourite podcast platforms, as well as the RNZ website. Thanks for listening.